Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right into some incredibly practical, game-changing stuff. We are covering part 8 of a 10-part tutorial called the MLOps Strategic Guide for IT Professionals. This was put together by Virtualization Options LLC, which is a fantastic technology research and advisory group out of Colorado. Now, if you've been following along with the previous chapters, you know we've covered a lot of groundwork. But in this specific part, which is designed straight for IT pros and management, we're tackling the elephant in the room. We are going to bridge that massive, frustrating gap between isolated data science experiments and live, reliable IT operations. Basically, we're going to look at how to actually make machine learning work in the real world of enterprise IT. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The machine learning crisis. 2. Defining the MLOps solution. 3. Automating the ML lifecycle. 4. Infrastructure and model management. 5. Monitoring for production success. And finally, 6. Building teams and roadmaps. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the machine learning crisis.
87%. Just think about that staggering number for a second. According to the research, 87% of machine learning models never actually make it to production. I mean, think about it. The wasted time, the resources, and the lost ROI wrapped up in that one statistic. You have brilliant data scientists spending months crafting these amazing algorithms, but without a dedicated operations strategy to support them, those models just sit there gathering dust on laptops or trapped in isolated sandboxes. It really proves that without the operations side of things, without the ops in MLOps, machine learning is essentially just a very, very expensive science experiment.
Which brings us right into Section 2, defining the MLOps solution.
MLOps, or machine learning operations, isn't some magical software tool you can just buy off a shelf and install. It's a fundamental discipline. It's all about taking those tried-and-true DevOps principles that IT teams have relied on for years, things like rigorous automation, continuous integration, continuous delivery, and monitoring, and applying them directly to the machine learning lifecycle. But here is the critical difference. Traditional DevOps really just manages code. MLOps has to juggle 3 first-class artifacts. You're managing the code, sure, but you're also managing the data and the models themselves. And every single one of those 3 artifacts has to be versioned, tested, and deployed with the exact same level of rigor. Think of this progression like a ladder. Most enterprises today are honestly stuck down at level 0. It's a highly manual, notebook-driven process, no automation, no real versioning. If you step up to level 1, you start introducing automated training pipelines, which means your models can at least retrain on new data automatically. But what we're aiming for is the gold standard, level 2, or full CI/CD for machine learning. Up here, any pipeline changes automatically trigger retraining, evaluation, and deployment without a human ever needing to intervene. And the payoff is huge. The source material notes that organizations with mature MLOps practices actually reduce their model failure rates by up to 60%.
All right, moving on to Section 3, automating the ML lifecycle.
A massive part of automation really comes down to how you handle your data features. In a dual storage architecture for feature stores, you essentially have 2 sides. First, the offline store, kind of like your data warehouse. This is optimized for heavy batch training with massive historical data sets. On the flip side, you have the online store, something like Redis, which is purely optimized for sub-millisecond real-time inference. But here is the absolute genius of this architecture. Both of these stores are served from one single feature definition. You define it once, and that guarantees consistency across the board. It literally eliminates that dreaded data skew between your pristine training environment and the chaotic live production environment. Now, when it's time to push a new model into a live IT environment, risk mitigation is everything. You have 3 critical deployment strategies to choose from here. First is blue/green deployment. This gives you a 0 downtime swap with the ability to do a full rollback in seconds, making it perfect for high-traffic scenarios. Next up is the canary deployment. This is where you gradually shift live traffic over, maybe starting at just 5%, so you can monitor it closely for any degradation before opening the floodgates. And finally, you have the shadow strategy. Here, the new model runs entirely in parallel. It receives live traffic, but it doesn't actually serve predictions back to the users. This is an incredibly safe way to validate the model in true production conditions before you ever officially flip the switch.
Next up is Section 4, infrastructure and model management.
Choosing your underlying infrastructure is a completely foundational decision. Looking at the 3 major hyperscalers based on the guide, AWS SageMaker brings some incredible native integration with S3 and Glue. Google's Vertex AI really shines when it comes to BigQuery and data flow integrations running heavily on Kubeflow-based pipelines. And then Azure ML is just incredibly DevOps native, offering really strong hybrid support. It is also definitely worth noting that if you're operating in a complex multi-cloud environment, or if you have really strict on-premises data residency rules, Kubeflow running on Kubernetes is widely considered the go-to standard for portable, vendor-neutral orchestration. Here's a quick pro tip that will make your CFO very happy. When you're managing all this infrastructure, compute costs for training models can skyrocket incredibly fast. But if you utilize spot or preemptible compute instances for those heavy training workloads, you can actually generate up to 70% in cost savings. That is a massive win for the IT budget and something every MLOps team should absolutely be leveraging.
So once your model is actually trained, a standard promotion workflow takes over, and this is entirely governed by a model registry. A model registry is basically a versioned, centralized catalog of every model you've trained. It orchestrates the whole journey. It moves the model from staging, where all your integration testing happens, right through to automated evaluation to run checks on accuracy and latency. Then, depending on the risk level of the model, the registry can actually pause the workflow for mandatory human approval. Only then is it finally promoted to production, complete with an immutable audit trail. And the best part is that this entire journey is seamlessly tied together using standard CI/CD triggers. Which brings us to Section 5, Monitoring for Production Success. Here's a harsh reality. Unlike traditional software, machine learning models actually degrade over time. Why? Because the real world changes. The primary threats to your production ML systems include something called concept drift. This happens when the underlying relationship between your inputs and outputs evolves over time. Think about how fraud patterns constantly shift and change. Then you have pipeline failures, which are those terrifying silent upstream data corruptions, like a suddenly missing database column or stale data feeds. And finally, you absolutely need continuous prediction monitoring to track output distributions. Catching sudden shifts in any of these areas will signal critical issues long before your actual business KPIs start tanking. The absolute key to surviving these production threats lies in defining strict service-level objectives, or SLOs. So, for example, you might dictate that a model's accuracy must not drop more than 5% from its original baseline. Or you might mandate that inference latency absolutely has to stay under 200 milliseconds. When these specific, hard thresholds are breached, your system should automatically trigger a high-priority alert, or even better, automatically kick off a retraining pipeline to fix itself. Finally, Section 6. Building teams and roadmaps. Like we said earlier, you can't just buy MLOps. You have to organize a specialized team of humans to actually run it. Let's look at the core roles. You have your data scientist, who owns model quality and the initial experimentation. The data engineer is there to ensure reliable, perfectly clean data inputs. Then you have the ML engineer, who acts as the crucial bridge, focusing specifically on deployment and serving. The MLOps engineer builds the actual platform tooling and the CI/CD pipelines that empower everyone else. And importantly, you need an ML product manager to ensure that all of this incredibly technical work actually aligns with your business ROI. When it comes to organizing all these specialized roles, the tutorial highly recommends the hybrid team model as the absolute best organizational structure. It works like this. You build a central platform team that provides the standardized tooling, the governance, and the enterprise standards. But then you take your MLOps practitioners and you embed them directly into the individual product teams. This gives you the perfect balance. You get strict, standardized governance across the whole enterprise, combined with incredibly fast, business-aligned iteration at the local product level. So why go through all the pain of a restructure? Because mature MLOps organizations deploy models 6 times faster than traditional ad hoc teams. That is a completely game-changing velocity advantage for any enterprise in today's market. For the IT leaders tuning in who are ready to actually implement this, here is your actionable playbook. Step 1, platform selection. You need to carefully evaluate if you should build this yourself with open source tools or buy into a managed cloud platform. Step 2, pilot a high-value use case. Do not try to boil the ocean here. Pick one single model and instrument it end-to-end. Step 3, standardize those successful patterns you just learned and scale them across your other teams. And Step 4, measure your KPIs relentlessly and iterate continually to justify your further investments. The source text offers this incredibly provocative, exciting vision for the long-term end state of MLOps. It describes fully automated, self-healing ML systems where drift triggers retraining, retraining triggers evaluation, and evaluation triggers deployment. Just imagine that. An IT environment where humans are only kept in the loop for the highest risk decisions, while the system autonomously maintains and heals its own performance. That is the exact future you are building toward with MLOps. And that wraps up our deep dive into part 8 of this tutorial. A huge thank you to Virtualization Options LLC for the phenomenal original research and strategic guidance that made this explainer possible. So I'll leave you with this question. Is your organization ready to finally stop running fragile science experiments and start building truly self-healing IT systems? I highly encourage you to seek out the full guide to start your own journey. Thanks so much for learning with us today, and keep exploring.